Everyone, it's Emma here from Just a Girl Who Loves Elvis. And today, my lovely friends, we're opening a door to one of the most tender and intimate parts of Elvis Presley's Christmas world. Not the stage, not the spotlight, not the glitter and decorations at Graceland. Today we're opening letters. Because while millions of fans listened to Elvis at Christmas, some sat down at kitchen tables, by bedroom windows or under flickering lamps and poured their hearts onto paper. They wrote to Elvis. They told him about their lives, their losses, their hopes, their Christmas wishes. And Elvis, the boy from Tupelo who never forgot what it felt like to long for kindness, read them. Today's episode is about those letters, the ones that made him smile, the ones that broke his heart, the ones that stayed with him long after Christmas lights were packed away. This is a story of Elvis's magical Christmas fan mail, and the people whose words touched his heart. Long before emails, long before social media, long before comments and likes, the only way to reach Elvis Presley was through a letter. At Christmas, Graceland's mailroom became something extraordinary. Stacks of envelopes in red and green, cards dusted with glitter, hand-drawn Christmas trees, crayon drawings from children, carefully written notes folded and unfolded again and again. Some letters were neat and formal, others were messy and emotional. Some barely fit into their envelopes at all. Elvis couldn't read every letter. No one could. But he read enough to understand something very important. He wasn't just admired. He was trusted. And that meant everything to him. Elvis had a wonderful sense of humour, and Christmas letters often brought it out. Fans wrote jokes. They teased him lovingly. They drew cartoons of him as Santa Claus, which he found absolutely hilarious. One letter famously read, "Dear Elvis, I hope you get everything you want for Christmas. Except my boyfriend. He stays with me." Elvis laughed so hard he showed it to everyone in the room. Another fan wrote, "Dear Elvis, my mum says you're too handsome and it's becoming a family problem." He adored those moments. Those letters reminded him that joy didn't have to be grand or dramatic. Sometimes it was simply laughter shared across paper. But not all Christmas letters were light-hearted. Many carried pain. Fans wrote about illness, loneliness, loss, poverty and grief. Some children wrote about parents they lost. Some adults wrote about spending Christmas alone. Some families wrote because they didn't know where else to turn. And Elvis didn't skim those letters. He sat with them. He felt them. Those closest to him remembered times where he grew quiet after reading certain letters, times where he folded them carefully and placed them aside, as if holding on to the words meant holding on to the person. Sometimes he cried, sometimes he prayed, sometimes he acted quietly, sending help without ever signing his name. Christmas sharpened his empathy. It always had. Among the thousands of Christmas messages, Elvis kept a small number. Not because they were famous, not because they were poetic, but because they were honest. A boy wrote that Elvis's music helped him feel brave at school. A woman wrote that gospel songs carried her through her first Christmas without her husband. A child sent a school photo and wrote, "You probably don't have many friends my age." Elvis kept those letters because they spoke to the part of him that fame never touched. They weren't written to the king. They were written to Elvis, and that mattered more than anyone realised. Elvis couldn't respond to everyone, but when a letter moved him, he didn't ignore it. Sometimes he wrote back, sometimes he dictated replies, sometimes he sent gifts, sometimes money, sometimes comfort, and sometimes, unbelievably, he picked up the phone. Imagine being a fan and answering the phone on Christmas Eve only to hear, "Hi honey, this is Elvis. I just wanted to say thank you." It happened. Not for attention, not for publicity, but because Elvis believed that kindness should be returned. The letters that softened him most came from children. Children wrote without filters. They asked him if he had a Christmas tree, if he liked cookies, if Santa knew him personally. One child wrote, "Dear Elvis, I hope you stay kind forever." That meant more to him than any award. Children saw him without expectations, without judgment, without headlines. They saw a gentle man who made them feel safe, and Elvis cherished that deeply. There were times when Elvis struggled, times when pressure felt heavy, times when loneliness kept in, even in a house full of people. And sometimes, right when he needed it most, a letter arrived. A letter saying, "Elvis, your music saved my life," or "Elvis, you've helped me through the hardest Christmas I've ever known." Those words fulfilled him. They reminded him that what he gave to the world came back in quiet, meaningful ways. A single letter could lift his spirit for days. Why did Elvis care so deeply about Christmas fan mail? Because he never forgot what it felt like to hope someone cared. He remembered being poor. He remembered humble Christmases. He remembered longing. Every letter reminded him of the human connection beneath the fame. They showed him that his voice reached people where it mattered most. As we come to the end of today's episode, what stays with me most is not the volume of letters, but the trust behind them. Elvis didn't read those letters because he wanted praise. He read them because he cared. Because words mattered. People mattered. Those letters reminded him that his presence reached beyond records and stages, into hospital rooms, lonely rooms, and hearts that needed comfort. And when Elvis folded those letters away, he didn't forget them. He carried them with him. And that brings us beautifully to our next episode. Because receiving love was only one part of the story. In episode 13, we're going to explore how Elvis took that love, the letters, the gratitude, the trust, and turned it outward. We'll look at how Elvis used his fame at Christmas to spread hope, kindness, and comfort, often quietly, often without recognition, and always from the heart. The donations, the visits, the gestures no cameras caught. Join me next time for episode 13. How Elvis used his fame to spread hope, love and positivity during the holiday season. Until then, my lovely friends, thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and as always, Merry Elvis Christmas, everyone.